today is the NBA. We want to talk about all the big moves that have happened, trades
Lots
and
of big moves. I
free
mean,
agency,
the
right?
amount of big money stars that have moved, we were counting them earlier. Let's just get into
Well, let's get into it.
it.
There you go. So there, like you mentioned, a lot of big trades. So we should give ourselves a little bit of a pat on the back because the last time we did this, we talked about LaMelo Ball getting traded, and it ended up happening like probably less than 24 hours after that. We should have talked about that on the record, which didn't happen. But it allows us the opportunity to right the wrongs of the past and make some predictions tonight. Maybe with some sources, tell the unfiltered report type
What are
shit. You
the
know what I mean?
quote unquote sources?
Sources. Yeah. Who's feeding you that information, right?
I
Like,
told you that.
who told you that? Where'd you find that from? Who told you that? Um, we're gonna talk a lot about sources, propaganda pieces.
Lots of
Uh,
propaganda recently. Oh my.
oh my. Well, let's start
Might be a
there.
record.
Might be a record. So let's start there. And then at the end, we'll have an add-on to the great tanking controversy of 2026 that has nothing to do with tanking.
Oh, I'm intrigued already.
I think you know.
You think it?
You
Okay.
know. I think you do, but we'll get there. We'll save that for the end. But on the subject of propaganda pieces and big things that have happened, there've been a lot. We'll go through it all, but I know you have some big thoughts. Out of all the moves, I think you have one that you want to talk about the most to start off with, which is the Jaylen Brown from Boston to Philadelphia trade. I can pull up the full details of the trade from the inner workings of wherever the hell.
Yeah.
But before we do all that, I just want to get your thoughts on that move and let it crack in. We'll get to all the other big moves and stuff to come that hasn't happened yet as well.
Well, Ryan, of course, as you know, big New York Knicks fan. And I feel like Boston kind of conceded their positioning for a championship to the 76ers.
So let's go through the
I
deal real quick before I
yeah.
don't mean to interrupt you. So it was Jaylen Brown to Philadelphia, and then in return, Boston gets Paul George, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and there's a lot of conditions on these picks.
And I think all the conditions are essentially the Celtics get the most favorable out of certain options.
So if I understood correctly, it's there's like 5 or 6 different scenarios for what the picks will be. Um, there's like I would have to pull up the big, uh, you know, the okay, so what do we get here? Okay, so here we go. So it would be a 2028 first round pick that could convert from a first to a more favorable swap for Boston, a 2031 unprotected first round pick, a 2028 second rounder, which is the most favorable of Golden State, OKC, and Milwaukee second round pick, a 2030 second rounder, which is the most favorable of Washington, Portland, and Phoenix. So that's all the conditions, just so people out there don't, if they didn't know already.
Now they know.
Um, but holy smokes, man! I mean, what a trade! There's been a lot of rumors, obviously, a lot of sources that were saying, okay, Jaylen Brown, they're going to trade him, whatever. But you know what's interesting? In the era of information and sources, there was not one insider that's plugged into this bitch that had Philadelphia on their reporting list.
True. No one said Philadelphia. No mainstream media
No,
source. Put
not
it that
no,
way.
no. I mean, yeah, no, yeah. Nobody that,
ESPN,
nobody
NBC,
that,
CBS,
nobody,
Yahoo Sports.
nobody that pays money to people to find information had the information that he was going to go to Philly. There was talk about every team other than Philadelphia. It felt like. So I wasn't surprised that he got traded, but I was surprised that he got traded to Philadelphia, especially considering that Philly and Boston are rivals. And Philadelphia knocked out Boston in the playoffs this year.
They did. And then Nick swept them.
And then the Knicks swept Philly. So what's fascinating to me is
I'm just surprised they didn't get more return. They could have gotten more. I really feel like they could have. The 76ers feel desperate. I know they do. Daryl Moogie, right?
he's gone.
Oh shit, who's their GM now?
Shit, I mean,
Oh, they fired him last year, right?
Bob Myers is running the ship. Even if he doesn't have the title, he's consulting. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. But he got fired last offseason, right? Am I correct in that? I just remembered that.
Literally like a couple months ago.
Oh, okay, that was recent. Oh, it was after the season.
Yeah.
That's okay. You're right. Yeah, so he's fired, and I think they want to make a move because they know. Look, man, how many years are you getting out of Joel Embiid? You don't know. He's a big
Well,
man that's injury
well, you know
prone
what's
and wanted to take a big swing, and Paul George clearly wasn't working out. And they have two good guards. I'm surprised the Celtics couldn't get VJ Edgecombe.
I'm sure they tried.
Of course they tried, but I'm just
But it's just what's fascinating to me with the return is you see, like we've talked a lot about other trades. Like we talked about like you know, we've talked about like Desmond Bain getting 5 first-round picks, or was it 4 in a swap or whatever it is. Um, you know, I just think it's one of those things where you look at it on face value and you'll think, man, Boston could have gotten more for this guy. But that goes into the propaganda pieces that we were talking about.
that does.
Because there's been a lot of propaganda that's been anti Jalen Brown recently. I mean, it's been for a while, but it's increased a lot.
It's much more intense.
And there's been a lot of propaganda, you know, whether it's Bobby Marks. So I know Bobby Marks is going to be having a sports business classroom thing in Vegas in about a week for about 10 grand. So, you know, shout out to Bobby Marks, man. Good luck to all the people at the Bobby Marks Sports Business Classroom. The Bobby Marks was saying that someone, you know, the sources, right? Bobby Marks was saying that like someone in the front office was telling Bobby Marks, and Bobby Marks felt compelled to say, like, hey, you know what? Like, Jalen Brown's the 7th or 8th best player on a championship team. There's been a lot of pieces about how like the Celtics have been analytically better without Jalen Brown.
Right?
They've been better statistically without Jalen Brown for the last as long as he's been there. This past season, they were better without him, apparently, according to whatever analytical model someone fed somebody and you know, apparently, with the analytical model, you know, there's two things. There's analytics on one hand, and then so the other part of the analytical machine, if you will, is you and I have talked about it. Like, there's levels to analytics. Like, one of the basketball revolutions of analytics has been that the 3-point shot is worth more than the 2-point shot, and that the least efficient shot in basketball is the mid-range jump shot. And that a lot of analytically based teams is either layups, dunks, free throws, and threes. And, so you know me, I've always been a big DeMar DeRozan guy. You know, grew up watching the Lakers, obviously with a lot of mid-range jump shots, whatever, right?
Lots of mid-range jump shots.
So I'm in the middle. Ironically, the mid-range shot is in the middle. I'm in the middle of the argument of analytics and not analytics, and I'm curious to get your thoughts because I know you're passionate about this. The way that I look at it is, look, is the most efficient shot in basketball a mid-range jump shot? Analytically speaking, it's not. Analytically speaking, you want to get as close to the basket as possible, or you want to shoot a 3-point shot where you're getting one more point than a 2-point shot. That's analytics, it's math. You run data models, you figure that shit out. So, what I would say is that analytics can only give you, like, if you're using analytics to confirm your decisions, that's fine. But you should find a balance between the analytical model and the eye test. And the reason I say that is because if a mid-range jump shot is the least efficient shot in basketball, the only reason that it's the least efficient shot in basketball is because there's only a handful of dudes in the NBA that actually not only take but make those shots at an efficient enough clip to where it's okay if they take those shots. Like, if you can make a shot in the mid-range, it counts the same as if you get it at the rim. So a guy like Jaylen Brown analytically might not be the best player analytically because he takes a lot of mid-range jump shots.
Yeah, it unfairly hurts him.
But if you make your mid-range jump shots at an elite level, then it shouldn't matter where you're getting your points from because 2 points are 2 points.
Yeah,
An and one is an and one.
I mean, without Jason Tatum, he averaged almost 29 points a game on decent enough shooting. I know this talks his true shooting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. True shooting, basically what true shooting does is it weighs three-pointers having more favorably than twos.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Exactly. So I look at it with him, this is from a Knicks fan. Look, he's a finals MVP. He's clearly a max player. This past season, he proved all that as well to anyone that didn't really believe it, even though he was a finals MVP on a team with Jason Tatum. I think he got Eastern Conference Finals MVP that year too, right? I think he got in the conference finals.
Jaylen Brown, yeah.
Look, he plays good defense. He rebounds. And of course, does he have issues? Yeah, not the best three-point shooter. He I think that's like the biggest one against him, frankly.
Yeah, three-point shooting, maybe not the, like I know there's been a lot of talk about like his handle over the years. Maybe
He does have to be, here's what I was thinking of. He has to be a little more ball dominant.
Yeah, he dribbles a lot, right?
He doesn't really have a lot of playmaking abilities.
So that's what I'm saying. So like, okay, I going back to the analytical thing, right? So like, I'm a big DeMar DeRozan guy, you know that, like. So DeMar DeRozan's been first in the league. Forget the last decade, like the last 4 or 5 years, DeMar's been number one in mid-range takes and mid-range makes.
That checks out.
But so a lot of people bash DeMar because okay, he doesn't shoot threes as much, whatever. But you know what happens, man? You know what happens with the 3-point shot? If I'm in the mid-range and I get fouled and I hit my shot and I get to the free throw line, I still 3 points. If every 1 out of 2 shots that I take in the mid-range goes in, that's an efficient shot.
That's pretty good.
Not everybody can hit that shit. But if you can hit it, analytics will tell you not to take it. But what analytics doesn't account for is that if you can make it, it is an efficient shot because a guy like DeMar, for example, that's his best shot.
Exactly.
He practices that shit so much that it's a layup. It's
his bread and butter.
It's his bread and butter. So with Jaylen Brown's pretty much been number 2 behind DeMar in mid-range shots. So that's been the argument from a lot of analytical folk in the media. The propaganda is Jaylen Brown takes inefficient shots. It's only inefficient if you are not efficient from that spot.
Exactly. And again, we talked about his true shooting efficiency. That unfairly is in favor of people who shoot the 3.
Exactly.
So I don't view that as an applicable stat to a guy.
Yeah. What is his actual shooting percentage?
Exactly.
From that spot.
Shooting percentage on 20,
and that's actual and
pretty good.
And that's analytics too because it's a statistic.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're pulling that shit out of your ass. It's a statistic. But so there's a level to it. Look, are there analytical franchises that do well in sports? Absolutely. Can it be a key component? Absolutely. But should everybody conform to the same thing? Not quite, because there are some people that are outliers to analytical models. There are some talent evaluators. There are some people that are not former basketball players professionally, and they're not analytical people. But they can sit down on their couch or in person, and it makes sense to them, and they say, you know what, that guy's good, that guy's not good. So can an analytical model tell you? Yeah, it could. But there are also people who don't get the shot, that don't have the analytics, and they don't have the prior playing experience, and they can tell you, yeah, that guy's good. So with Jaylen Brown, maybe the analytics will tell you, hey, you know what, he takes bad shots, he's not efficient, he dribbles a lot. Maybe the dribbles aren't that efficient. He doesn't facilitate, whatever. You can come up with a million different reasons to say that he's not a good player.
Yeah.
But to say that he's not a great player is crazy.
Yeah, he's a max player.
Like
He's been even before this last season.
like you see your favorite player. Oh, look, could you get a player that is more efficient? Sure, yeah.
And he's also
But
a two-way player.
yeah,
That's a
he
big
plays
deal.
defense.
And he's a wing, a good-sized wing, so he can guard people a little bigger than him, but while still having the athleticism, right, to blow by guys. He's got the mid-range. He's a great player. The way, I think about analytics, it's like I don't care if the analytics say the Celtics last year were somehow better without him. So what that tells me is per analytics, if you didn't have Jaylen Brown play on the team last year, if, let's say he was injured like Tatum, that team wins 50 plus games and is the 2 seed.
And
That's absurd.
and
That's
that's what
absurd to even say.
and that's what the propaganda model, not propaganda, you forget propaganda, just the analytical models. Like there's been a lot of stuff that like the analytical models will tell you that the Celtics have been better without Jaylen Brown on the floor than with Jaylen Brown. That's what the analytics will tell you.
And at the end, but the analytics ignore that when Tatum was on the floor, who won Finals MVP? He played better than Jason Tatum in the finals to lead them to a championship.
And
That's a fact.
and they needed both of them.
That's the thing. They had a great thing going. They had a championship core in the most literal way. They won a championship, and neither guy was old. What intrigues me about this trade and pisses me off that they made Philly good, like better, is I felt like the Celtics traded him almost like they were under duress, like they were on like a time crunch or something.
Yeah, like they had to get rid of him.
The amount of media reports on him means what? The sources means what? Front office is leaking. I think, I'm speculating, the Celtics front office was doing a lot of these leaks, which means what? They had a high sense of urgency and almost like dumping him, which is odd considering we're 3 days into free agency.
Yeah, like we
didn't request a trade.
Like we talked about Giannis. Like Giannis, that took him like 3 years.
They were in denial for years. And
I'm
so glad that happened.
No, they've been talking about Jaylen Brown for a lot of years too. It's not like this just came out of nowhere. They've been talking about splitting these guys up for years. But
this is different.
I think what's fast, like I told you the last time we talked, is like I'll believe it when I see it. He gets flipped.
Yep.
I had a feeling he'd get flipped, but I didn't think it was going to be to Philly. I'd be lying to you if I thought he was going to get traded for Paul George and 4 picks.
And 2 of those picks being second rounders.
So the way I see it, now, can Boston still be good without Jaylen Brown?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
Absolutely.
Look, they got Mitch, who's going to give them 20 to 25 minutes of great defense and offensive rebounding. As soon as Dolan said we're not going into second apron, I knew he was gone.
Yeah.
I'm sad, but I understand second apron's pretty prohibitive, especially for making changes down the line. But they got him, and then all of a sudden, they trade for Paul George. But I think Peyton Pritchard is going to like step up now to Jay's a bit. So are they going to win 50 games plus? I doubt
they
it.
could.
I doubt.
They could.
It depends on what the East looks like next year. Right?
Maybe not 50 games, but like they're not gonna suck.
Yeah, because Miami's got better, right?
Like I guess
Raptors got better. There's more teams
for
the top.
Like I guess what's fascinating to me is like if there was one team that I think would be, even if it was a dumb trade, could be okay, I would say it would be Boston. But you can't help but feel like Philadelphia are on their hands and knees thinking, like, holy crap, we got Jaylen Brown.
They didn't even look.
They didn't make any sizable dent into what they already have. Like they got rid of a guy they didn't want on the contract.
That's why the way I look at it, I was like, people were talking about Philly might send out picks to salary dump him because 2 more years on a max deal. There was reports months ago that they'd have to give up at least 1 first-round pick to dump him.
They got Jaylen Brown.
So all they did is add a first-round pick on top of that. And let's be honest, second-round picks don't mean dick. I know you could like turn them into first and blah, blah, but they don't mean that much, right? Especially when you're talking about Jaylen Brown, who's their third.
I mean, to me, they mean a lot. But like, even if they don't mean a lot to me, like it's just the sense of like
value.
Listen, Philly takes that trade 10 times out of 10.
And here's the thing: if they didn't take that trade, you'd be like, why?
Yeah.
Like, are you stupid? They got younger with only giving out younger and better, only giving out a few picks. And look,
now you got Maxey, Edgecombe, Jalen Brown, Joel
as a
Embiid.
Knicks fan, I'm upset.
You figure the rest out, and they picked up Simons. You know, like
Wow, when I saw that, I was like, motherfucker,
that's
come on.
it's a good team now.
Well, look, man, the Knicks, we need some size. We lost Mitch and Hug Porty. Hug Porty's on the Sixers, man.
That's true.
You know I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. We talked about him when he was a rookie.
So with the Knicks is interesting because I know with the Knicks, they're trying to get a big.
I don't know. They're gonna have to get someone at the minimum, like Andre Drummond.
But what's interesting is Andre Drummond came out, and Andre Drummond himself had a propaganda piece, and Andre Drummond put his words on a piece. It was like, "I'm not going to take less than what I'm worth. I've done that before. I'm not going to do that shit again."
So he said he's not taking a minimum.
So basically, and then Marvin Bagley went to the Nuggets because Valanciunas might go to Europe.
He really?
It might be.
I know he tried that last year.
Yeah,
I got to trade, right? Or sign.
He got traded from Sacramento to Denver. Denver picked up Bagley. Obviously, Bagley's, I mean, you know what? Like, that's a different conversation. But, like, with the Knicks, I think Jordan Clarkson might find his way back onto the team. Obviously, they're going to need to find a way to probably find a backup big. But, yeah, man, the East is a lot better.
A lot.
Not only Philly, you mentioned Toronto.
Well, there's also a chance they get better. Like LeBron might go to an East team, which would mean both of the best players in LA team defected to the East in the same offseason, which would be very funny. But not to sidetrack, we all know.
We'll get to LeBron.
Yeah, we all know.
We'll get to the Lakers. Lakers have made a lot of moves.
We'll get to the Lakers. You want to go to Lakers now, or you got something else?
We go wherever you want. We go Toronto. We can go Clippers. We can go Lakers.
Clippers. Let's do Clippers.
Let's go Clippers. I like that. Let's do Clippers because I think you and I are in agreement.
And you know, I went to their last season in Crypto Arena. I went to a lot of their games.
I do know that. I can vouch for that.
It was close to me, and dude, they were dirt cheap. You go last minute. I'm talking $9. I was going to game. I went to a few games for $9. And that year you saw Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
With Russell Westbrook. That was a good team. That was a fun team to watch. They played good basketball.
So I'm gonna tell you something. Like with the Clippers, man, in the span of 1 year, they found a way to completely change their long-term outlook for the better.
For much better.
With the James Harden, Zubats, Kawhi trades that they've done in the last calendar year. Not even last calendar year. I mean, we're talking last couple of months. They have done an amazing job of getting, you get the number 5 overall pick, Keaton Wagler, Darius Garland, Ben Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, Brandon Ingram now, and draft picks. You couldn't have asked for a better pivot.
So the flexibility of not a lot of these guys are on long-term deals, and the ones that are, like I think Ingram had a few years left, and then they're going to Did they already re-sign Mathurin to a longer deal?
I think he's already. I don't know if they signed him to a deal, but he's there.
I heard there was something, dude. He was going to get a new contract in some capacity.
Ben Mathurin's a good player, man. Whether he start,
sorry, but I'm just happy they pulled ripped the Band-Aid off.
You know what I mean? No, I tip my cap.
Kawhi purgatory, and it's like, I know he was healthy last year, but what? He's 35.
I think so.
Like, what's the chance he's going to have that good of a season again? Because he had an excellent season.
Oh yeah.
Just the probability at that age is low, especially considering
analytics, baby.
Analytics, baby. We're back on it, except now I'm pro analytics, apparently. So, look at us.
Full circle moment.
But
analytics, that's the thing with analytics. Like, it's not that the statistics don't tell you something. It's just oftentimes it's the statistics that stare you in the face. Points per game, rebounds per game, projections, age. Like, you don't need a full analytical model maybe to tell you that. Maybe you do. I don't know. But, like, I do want to get your thoughts on the Toronto perspective, though. Because now Toronto reuniting with Kawhi all these years later. Kawhi, we mentioned DeMar earlier. They flip-flop. Kawhi and him, they go San Antonio, Toronto. Toronto wins a championship. Kawhi leaves, goes to the Clippers, and now back to Toronto.
And Kawhi said he'd sign an extension there. I think he'd be happy to go back.
And,
Apparently, he
and
wasn't really happy to go back anywhere else.
he didn't want to go anywhere other than Toronto, I felt like, or San Antonio. According to the rumor, according to the sources.
And I heard that
The
San
Unfiltered
Antonio
Report says,
not
yeah, there you go.
interested, which makes sense. It doesn't make sense for them to be interested. Like they just made the finals, good young.
And they got Tobias.
Yeah, and they got
San Antonio got Tobias.
so they're fine. Are the Raptors going to sign him to a max 2-year extension?
Looks like it. You don't make that deal if you're not planning to sign him.
So that means they're going to pay him. I mean, isn't a 2-year max like 70? No, that'd be because Devin Booker got a 2-year 150, but that was a super max.
It's gonna be a lot of money.
It's going to be 60 mil a year.
It's gonna be a lot of money.
Least.
Like Toronto's going all in with Kawhi Leonard.
Because what Jimmy Butler got when he re-signed with the Warriors, 2 years, 110.
So what's fascinating? So Toronto typically is an organization. Toronto typically is very hesitant to move off of picks.
Yeah, they are.
Which signals to you that it almost feels like this was the only guy they were going to move off of picks for. And what's interesting is you could make the argument that they gave up just as much, if not more, probably just as much, maybe not more. But all these years later, Toronto trading for Kawhi way back when, and now they had to give up quite a bit in both trades in order to make that happen.
That's true.
Which means that they've believed in him then, and they still believe in him now. And he wanted to go back there. He could have stayed there. He wanted to go to the Clippers. We've talked about it before, but we talked about Giannis, like with Giannis, and they were doing the "Does she love me? Does she love me not?" Whatever. Like with Kawhi and Toronto, it feels like one of those things where, as the years probably went on, Kawhi probably in the back of his mind was like, you know what? What if I would have stayed in Toronto? And Toronto is sitting there thinking, you know what? I still love you, Kawhi. Come back. Come back to me. I love you.
You could blame it all on me.
You could blame it all on me. Like, not every relationship is the same. In a world of 8-something billion people, like, you're going to get different relationships. And with Toronto and Kawhi, you know what? Good for them.
They're like, yep, they got back together. It's like, we'll see.
It makes me happy to see people get back together.
As a Knicks fan, I don't want Kawhi to have a good year.
When you love someone, and maybe it takes a little bit of time, both parties still love each other. They have to try out different partners, or maybe not even try different partners. They have to be alone for a little bit. They're alone for a little bit. They're in their thoughts, and they're saying, you know what? The more I think about it, I love you, Kawhi. And Kawhi's like, I love you, Toronto. And then they met together. They hashed it out. And I'm interested to see what Toronto looks like now.
I'll say if Kawhi plays like he did last year, they're going to be a little bit of a problem. They're going to be a good team.
It's a good team. Scotty Barnes is no joke. They still got RJ. They still got Quickly. They still got Pirtle. They still got Colin Murray Boyles, Jamal Shedd, the 2 rookies. It's a good team, man.
If Kawhi does get hurt, though,
now they lost our guy Sandro Mamukashvili to the Lakers for $52 million.
I don't know if they lost him. They're like, you can have him, man.
Yeah, take the 52. We'll take that $52 million.
Agent told him, be like, hey, man, you're not going to believe me. Lakers offered $52 million. They're like, show me the contract. I don't believe you. They showed it. They're like, go over there. You earned it.
Yeah, life-changing money. Yeah, don't. You want to go back to Toronto for a discount? No, go to the Lakers. They give you $52 million.
Imagine you're a boss. You got an employee. And you're like, hey, man, someone else offered me 5 times my salary. I'm like, you go, bro. Like,
go ahead.
Get that money, man. Because I ain't offering you that.
Yeah, I'm not giving you that money. Toronto's not giving him 50.
I ain't got it like that. That guy could do it. Let him go.
Yeah, it's a relationship thing. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, let him, Kawhi, they get back together. That's great. Sandro Mamukashvili, hey, $52 million for 4 years. Hey, get out of here. We don't want you in Toronto anymore.
You go out with that guy.
Like, you'd be an idiot to stay here. Like, go take the $52 million. Quentin Grimes gets 60.
That surprised me because he didn't have an amazing year last year. The year before, I thought he played better when everyone was.
Colin Sexton got about $19 million for 2 years, and then Walker Kessler. Sign and trade. Utah Jazz.
Not only did they overpay
Lakers, you're talking about.
Yeah, from a financial perspective, they also gave up assets.
If I'm not mistaken, they gave up about the same amount of assets as Philadelphia did for Jaylen Brown. Just we're on the objective scale.
What did they give up again? Was it 2 first-round picks?
I'll tell you right now.
Tell me to.
I will tell you the exact
But
compensation.
there was no players, right? Did they trade any players to get him? I don't think so.
No, Utah's not taking on any players.
Because they don't want the contracts.
So Walker Kessler. So what ends up happening? So the Lakers get Walter Kessler from Utah. Utah gets an unprotected first round pick in both 2031 and 2033, and first round pick swaps in 2028 and 2030.
Whoa.
So technically speaking, just by the definition of the trade, Utah got a better deal for Walker Kessler than Boston did for Jalen Brown.
Yeah, especially considering Paul George. Although I think he's going to be a positive impact in Boston.
Solid.
But here's the thing, from a value perspective,
I'm just talking objectively, like on the picks part of it.
On market value, yeah, Paul George doesn't have the best market value. So you compare
and then Walker.
plus swap.
So Walker Kessler signs a 4-year, $130 million contract with the Lakers. That trade includes a player option for the fourth season and a full trade kicker. So Mamuk, 4-year, 52. Grimes gets 4 years, 60. Colin Sexton gets 2 years, 19 million. And then Walker Kessler turns down 5 years and 140 million from Utah.
Yeah, the Lakers offer with obviously a lot better, but that's a lot. I don't understand why they needed to pay him that much more compared to Utah's offer. I can't imagine he had that many people clamoring at the bits, to give him, 4 years, one.
So here's what I think.
What were the 4 years, one?
The Lakers?
Yeah, what did they give him?
4 years, 130.
4 years, 130. How many other teams were trying to give up that?
So here's what I think. It's a good thing. So this is a good part of the conversation. So you know how there's always two sides of the coin, two sides to every story, whatever it is. I think if you're Utah, you take that shit 10 times out of 10.
Utah has to take it, especially considering they have JJJ and Lauri Markkanen. It doesn't make sense to give Walker Kessler a big money deal, especially when your young player like Ace Bailey and Peterson, like you have to anticipate. Hope in 3 years you might give them a max, and if you can't,
now what it does is with Walker gone, it allows the opportunity for Utah to potentially start Keontae George, Darren Peterson, Ace Bailey, Lauri Markkanen, and Jaren Jackson Jr.
Absolutely, they have financial flexibility, so if their young players work out, they can extend them.
And now
in the interim,
and they have 2 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps. So if the Lakers, so it makes too much sense. If you're Utah, you don't turn that down. That's great business by Utah.
Especially when it's like, wait, you want to give us stuff to get him, and you're going to pay him way more? Like, go at it. Like, don't let me stop you.
Yeah, you're going to pay him more annually. So, like, Utah would have given him an extra year. Lakers give him 1 less year, but more average annual.
Yeah, Utah offer was only 10 mil more, but 5 years, right?
Yes.
Lower the
So look, if you're Utah, you know what? If I'm Utah, you know what I'm saying?
What do you say?
We're giving you a good contract.
5 years, 140 is a good contract.
That's
a good contract.
And now we get to flip you, and we get to take these assets, and we don't have to bring on any additional salary.
On top of it, it cripples the Lakers financially, which is.
And now, if you're Lakers, you've put in all the money into Luka, AR, Reeves, and then you also committed. What is it like? What is it? 52 plus 40. You committed like $120-something million to 3 guys in Sandro, Quentin Grimes, and Colin Sexton. You've lost Rui, you lost Marcus Smart, you lost Jackson Hayes. LeBron's gone. That's a different conversation. A lot of people talk about LeBron.
That's facts.
LeBron's going to Golden State, by the way.
Let's just wrap that conversation.
He's going.
He's going to the Golden State Warriors. If he signed for the mid-level exception, or maybe lower if you'd bring in someone else with him. You know what I mean? Like
going to Golden State.
He's going to Golden State.
If it's not Golden State, it's Cleveland or Miami. It's a Kawhi Leonard. I love you, baby.
Exactly.
But if he goes to Golden State is the girl that's been looking at, it's the people that have been flirting and they've been in different relationships for the last couple of years.
Now they're single.
Now they're both single. And I think it's like, LeBron, like they've been flirting for years.
Yeah,
LeBron,
you're both single. You're like, all right.
It's like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna give you a shot, baby girl. Like, let's do it, baby girl. And and then she says, hey, you know what? A little sexy thing, like, come to me. Come to me.
Which person from the Warriors is saying, come here, little sexy thing? I think it's Steph.
I think it's all of them.
It's all of them. Probably collectively.
See, this is the difference.
Steve Kerr, actually.
All of them.
And the
Steve
rest
Kerr.
are up.
It's Steve Kerr. Oh yeah, they're all whining and dining together. It's Rich Paul, Draymond, Steph Curry, Steve Kerr, Joe Lacob. They're all sitting down at dinner together. They're having a nice $700,000 bottle of wine from the Bambisi pyramids of wherever the fuck. And they're sitting there saying, you know what, LeBron, I love you. And LeBron says, you know what, I've always wanted to be with you. I've been with the Lakers for 8 years. I dated
apple in my eye.
I was with Cleveland twice. I was with Miami. Miami still wants me. I still love Miami, but I've been angling to see what a relationship with you would look like. See, it's all about relationships.
All about relationships.
That's what it is.
So we figured out that's the LeBron combo. He's going to the Warriors.
LeBron, yeah. Listen, if he goes somewhere else, okay, I'll tell you right now.
It's one of those three teams in this order: Warriors, Cleveland, Heat.
I'll give you that. Wild card, Denver, and Philly.
Ooh, not fuck Philly.
But Denver's the wild card.
Philly's too crowded, I think.
So Denver's the wild card, and I'll tell you why Denver's the wild card. Here's the reason. There's been a propaganda piece that came out in the last 24 hours where apparently all of a sudden this was a possibility.
Really?
But that was for Brian Windhorst's propaganda piece. If you dig much deeper before Brian Windhorst, listen, the Unfiltered Report, we might have sources too.
Who knows, really?
Yeah, nobody knows. Because you know what? Brian Windhorst said I wanted to talk about LeBron to Denver, and he said that yesterday. But you know what? Long before that, the Unfiltered Report, you can go back and check the receipts. Do you know who's been really close for a long time? Nikola Jokic's agents and Rich Paul and LeBron James.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
So that's the wild card. Denver. That's my wild card. Fuck LeBron. I mean, not fuck LeBron, but a lot of people talk about LeBron. Like, we could talk about him a lot more than anybody else. But, like, if you want my honest opinion, the Warriors are the favorites. Cleveland and Miami are, trying to reunite. And then the wild card is Denver. I think Denver's the sleeper and all that. It makes a lot of sense, to be honest with you.
Interesting. I will say, I'm looking at a Yahoo Sports article about it right now, and the Warriors, there are sources that say the Warriors are saying, I'm hearing, this is what a guy named Slater said. I don't know who Slater is. I'm hearing a growing...
Fuck Slater. It's from Arman. Arman of the Unfiltered Report says that the Warriors...
They're necessarily at the top of that short list. That's BS. No one from the Warriors thinks they're not at the top of LeBron's short list of teams. What else would be on his list?
Cleveland, Miami, Denver.
But so the Warriors don't think they're on that short list?
And Philly now. Philly's going to be the next propaganda team.
A lot of teams that aren't candidates for him. He's not going to the Nets for all their money.
He's not going to Sacramento.
He's not going to Utah.
He's not going to Utah. He's not going to Charlotte. He's not going to Orlando.
He's not going to Chicago.
Not going to fucking. He's not going to Toronto probably.
No.
Maybe your Knicks. Doubt it. Propaganda piece.
At minimum.
Propaganda piece. Yeah, look, if you ask me honestly, like, look, we could talk about LeBron. A lot of people talk about LeBron. Golden State's what I'm betting on. Cleveland and Miami are like hey, if that happens, I'm not surprised. Denver's the dark horse, and I'll leave it at that on my end of the spectrum with LeBron. But I will say, from the Lakers' perspective, this is the part that I think is important to talk about from the Lakers' perspective. I do think, listen, LeBron, 8 years to win a championship, great. Tip your cap, everybody's happy. I think the Lakers will be better off moving on from LeBron, and LeBron did them a favor because
being like, don't worry about me.
Because what ends up happening is whether, look, did the Lakers overpay for Walker Kessler, Sandro, Quentin Grimes, Colin Sexton? Maybe, maybe not. But at least if you're the Lakers, you're taking that money and you're aggregating it into players that are maybe not LeBron by himself, even though LeBron's about to be 42, but you're getting deeper, more flexibility. With Walker Kessler, you're getting a rim protector, somebody who's a lob threat, somebody that Luka wanted. Maybe you overpaid, but that's what Luka Doncic wants. It's Luka's team, not LeBron's team.
True.
Sandro can shoot it.
He can shoot.
You can play him with Walker. Maybe he might like Sandro might come off the bench, but he'll play starters minutes. He might close games. Quentin Grimes to me has always been a player that is better than when he's had the opportunity to showcase consistently. Like you mentioned 2 years ago. 2 years ago, when Philly was tanking for VJ Edgecombe, not him specifically, but like when they shut everybody down, like Quentin Grimes is fucking spectacular.
He was.
He's a good player.
I like him. He was on.
He's a good player. Is he 4 years, 60 million? Maybe it's a little bit of an overpay, but he's a good player. Forget the money. Colin Sexton's always been a good player. So you get the opportunity to aggregate that money and put it elsewhere. So LeBron gets all the attention, but I think LeBron did the Lakers a favor because the Lakers, I think, needed to aggregate that money elsewhere. Now the argument just becomes, did the Lakers aggregate that money into the best places?
Yeah, I don't know about
That's the conversation. But I think LeBron leaving is good for the Lakers because if you're LeBron, look, LeBron's he doesn't have that many years left. Go have fun, dude. Go to Golden State.
See if you and Steph actually work out.
Go have fun with Draymond.
Dude, that'd be really fun.
Go have fun. Yeah. Like, no one's stopping you. You had a great 8 years. You won a championship. Like, tip of the cap. Go have fun, dude. You don't have that many years left. The Lakers want to move on. You want to move on? Go. That's great. The Lakers might have been hanging on. Like we mentioned, Giannis. Like, maybe Milwaukee wanted to hang on to Giannis. Giannis wanted to hang on, hang on to Milwaukee. Like, you know what? What I do want to talk about, though, so we talked about Kawhi, Jaylen Brown. There's a lot of other shit we haven't talked about. The other piece of the equation is John Morant to Portland.
Yeah.
And then I know. Yeah. So we're going to set the stage real quick. So I know on here we've talked about Portland getting a new ownership group. Most hated man in sports right now in the NBA, apparently, is Tom Dundon, new owner of the Blazers. A lot of cost-cutting measures. They don't pay for two-way guys to travel, no playoff T-shirts, threatening the local government and the taxpayers that if you don't pay this money, we're going to go elsewhere. We're talking about NBA Summer League. They have the least amount of players on a Summer League roster in the history of NBA Summer League. There's a lot of things that have been said. Some of it is valid. And we always say we'll talk truth, we'll speak, speak truth to power, power to truth, shed light on all these things. But we also always like to say multiple things can be true at once. There might be a lot of cheapness going on in Portland. There might be arguments about whether they will stay in Portland or not. But on the subject of Portland, going out and be able to get John Morant and to only have to give up Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray, twin brother of Keegan. It's one of those things. We talked about it with Memphis recently. When we talked about it with Memphis, it was, hey, you know what? Memphis got so many draft picks for Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane that they didn't need to get the maximum assets for John Morant. So it's two sides of the coin.
Two sides.
Memphis did not need to get as much for John Morant as face value would have told you because John Morant's really good. It's like Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. They also got a big haul for Jaren Jackson.
Exactly, right?
So they were like, all right.
We don't need as much.
They decided to move on.
So now with Portland, and this is where I want to get your thoughts. Because if you're Portland, you're thinking about it. You make that trade if you're Portland 10 times out of 10. And you figure the rest out later.
Yeah, it made sense for them. Even though they have a lot of guards, Damian Lillard is a bit more of a short-term option. I think he signed a 3-year deal, and last year was the first year of that deal. Let me see here. think what, 3 years, 42 million. Yep, 3 years, 42 million with a no trade clause. So I think he's right now the only player with no trade clause. Not to get into a tangent here, but he had the no trade clause, and I think last year it was him, LeBron, and Jackson Hayes, because Jackson Hayes had signed, I think if you sign a certain amount of, I think, vet minimums on a team, on the same team, you automatically get a no trade clause. Let me see about that. Hold on. Yeah, he received a de facto one. 3 or more seasons with the same team and re-signs on a 1 year deal. Yep. So going back to Portland, though, it just makes sense for them. They didn't have to give up any draft capital. John Morant is a young player. His contract is, I think, in the low 40s per year, maybe 45 mil per year. It was a max, but the max was signed a few years ago. So I believe he has 2 seasons left. And look, at one point, he was leading the Grizzlies to a 2 seed. They look like the next up and coming team with him, Jaren Jackson Jr., Dylan Brooks. They had like a fun to watch, fun personality young core. Dylan Brooks was the villain. John Morant, I'm fine in the West. Jaren Jackson Jr. playing well. They had a really good team. And it seemed to all unravel when Ja had like his random off the court stuff, playing with guns and shit, and filming it. That's the main problem. It's like, why were you filming it? And then you did it twice. But again, I think a lot of that could be just mental blocks. He gets to Portland, a guy like Dame takes him under his wing, especially considering
Andrew Holiday.
Andrew Holiday. Getting better on defense, did better at his 3-point shooting. He's young, he's malleable, he can develop. He did lose some of his athleticism, which is natural when you're not 19 years old anymore.
But he's still like same age.
Very athletic.
Still,
and
yeah.
he has shot well before. So that's something he can relearn, retool with these veteran guards around him. So for Portland, again, I've heard you said it's a no-brainer. I agree with you. At the same time, I've seen a lot of reports that analysts say it wasn't a good move because they have so many guards. And I was like, it's like, I get that if they were like a championship team.
Listen, you take the upside swing 10 times out of 10.
Exactly.
And you know what? You figure out a way where you find a way to play all those guys together in some capacity. You have Dame, Drew Holiday, don't forget about Scoot Henderson, John Morant. You figure it out. You take the talent.
Creative.
You take the talent and then you figure it out.
Here's the thing: this trade made them a better team overall.
Oh yeah,
giving out draft assets.
It raises their floor and their ceiling, and they did not have to give up a single draft asset. You do it 10 times out of 10 because it's not like John Morant sucks.
No, he doesn't.
And it makes sense for Memphis too, because Memphis is just trying to clear the deck.
They made that very clear.
So it's a solid trade for both teams. Memphis, it clears the deck. Your new young core, you got rid of all these other guys. Now you start fresh. But with Portland, it's like, hey, you know what? Like, if we can take a gamble, it's a gamble. But it's not like John Morant sucks. The big thing is just, honestly, forget the off-the-court stuff. Can he just stay healthy?
That's been an issue that started around the same time.
If he can stay, if Ja can stay healthy, and he can give you maybe 70-something games in the regular season, I'm interested to see what Portland looks like.
Very intrigued.
Because it's not like they have a bunch of bums. You've got Danny Avdia, Toumani Camara, Donovan Clingan, Shaden Sharp. You've got Dame, Drew Holiday, Scoot Henderson. That's not a bad team.
No, not at all.
Not a bad team.
Guard heavy.
And there's some other guys that we're forgetting, but like, you can figure some things out. And it's worth the upside swing if you're Portland because you didn't have to really give up anything.
You didn't have to give up anything. Look, there are some trades this offseason, no-brainers for one side. Philly. Like, you wanted to move.
Philly's taking that shit 50 million times out of
They
10.
probably wanted to move off of Paul George's contract anyways, and they're like, wait, add another first round pick, 2 seconds,
We
and
get
I
Jalen Brown.
Jalen Brown.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That look, put it this way. At this point, he's better than Paul George because he's younger. Like he plays better defense because he's younger.
He's better than Paul George.
He's better than Paul George. And yes, you gave up picks, but you also got off George's contract. And yes,
Jalen Brown's making a fuck ton of money too. But he's in his prime. Exactly. He's younger than Paul George.
Yes,
and he's better.
Paul George has 2 years left. Jalen Brown has 3 years left. Jalen Brown is a super max. So I think it's 60 the last 2
It's
years.
a lot of money.
Like 60 plus a year.
But
that $305 million contract.
Yeah, he was the first 300, yeah.
Which some people who follow analytics were mad about. I remember I was just thinking, I was like, he's a max player. It just so happened
just that the salary cap moved up and he was the first person to be exactly.
It was coincidental.
Exactly.
It was coincidental.
Exactly.
So
and I'm glad you agree with that because a lot of people are overreacting to that. It's like, yes, you can overreact to the money, but don't overreact to the money on scale.
Exactly. Like that's why I view deals like where does it fall into? If he's a max player, he's a max player. You know what that means. And that changes every year. And you got super maxes and that kind of stuff, but a max is a max. He's a max player.
Yeah.
Super max for his next contract, I don't think so. But he might still get a max deal on his next contract if he keeps up playing.
Philly's
another max deal.
Listen,
George got a max deal at 34.
Philly's interesting. Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jalen Brown.
The world of Tyrese Maxey. It upsets me because I'm a Knicks fan.
Good, man.
He's so good.
Oh yeah. Tyrese might be one of the best players in the NBA, regardless of position. Like, let's just get that off the rip. Like, Tyrese is really good, man.
Very good. VJ Edgecombe had a great rookie campaign. Yeah. I was upset when.
And you know what? VJ is one of those guys where VJ on different team that like there's not all those guys there. His averages probably go up because his usage rates goes up.
Like Dylan Harper on the Spurs if there's a Fox.
Pretty much, right? Like if Dylan Harper's on a different team, VJ Edgecombe is the same thing. Like if you put VJ Edgecombe on Sacramento, just spitballing. Like I'm not talking shit on Sacramento, but like if you put VJ Edgecombe on a blank canvas team where there's not already Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Joel Embiid, VJ Edgecombe's a great player. But because he went into Philly, he was still a great player, but he's sacrificing parts of his game in order to complement the team.
So yes, he has to. There's only one basketball.
Exactly. There's only one basketball. And with VJ, like VJ's the guy who can play defense.
Absolutely.
So maybe on another team he can showcase his offensive ability too, because it's not like he doesn't have offensive ability. But now that he's on Philly and now that Jalen Brown comes in, now VJ Edgecombe maybe doesn't get to show people what he can do offensively as much, which he still can. But what it does is it allows, now you've got VJ, you've got Tyrese, Jalen Brown, and Embiid if he can stay healthy. Like, yeah, look, if you're Philly, you take that 10 times out of 10.
You have to.
You have to. So now I want to get your thoughts real quick before we kind of put a bow on this baby and save it for future conversations. Are there any other trades or signings that have stood out to you, number one? And then number two, anything that hasn't happened that you're either A, anticipating, or B, you think should happen, or you want to project and predict, if you will?
So I'll say trade we haven't talked about, LaMelo Ball.
There you go, LaMelo Ball.
Very interesting for the Timberwolves, especially because LaMelo's injury history is not good. I know we talk about, a guy who's like he's got red flag medicals.
Oh, like Mark Williams and the Lakers, right? Yeah. But his knee held up fine until now when he got signed. Hey, I get what you mean. Like LaMelo had a healthy season this year.
And from Charlotte, it makes perfect sense. Sell him while he's high. You have a good young team outside of him, although losing him sucks. You can figure it out because you can't assume he's going to be fully healthy for years to come. That's a hard assumption to make. I hope he proves me wrong because he's electric to watch. Really is.
It's a fun player.
So if he's able to stay healthy, this is a great trade. But losing Naz Reid after you traded Julius Randle doesn't make a lot of sense from a front court and defense perspective. They're going to have a big deficiency there, and that was their strength previously as a team.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
you're getting a bad defender and losing two good ones, two big ones, like guys that can guard in the paint and on the perimeter against threes and fours. Julius Randle can guard a four, no problem. Sometimes a five. He's got great defense. Naz Reid, great defense.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating trade to me because I think if you're Charlotte, now look, I want to say this: LaMelo Ball was excellent this past season, and anytime he's been healthy in his career, he's been excellent. He's a great player. He's electric, and I see why Minnesota did it because they've had a glaring hole at that position. I know, like Mike Conley's in Boston now. I mean, Mike Conley wasn't gonna cut it much longer. Like Mike Conley's better off in Boston. Like if you are Minnesota, is it a gamble? Yes. Do I like the gamble? Yeah, I do. Because you're taking an upside swing and it allows Anthony Edwards to not have the ball in his hands as much, bringing the ball up the floor, and it makes it harder for teams to double team and triple team Anthony Edwards. And now you have to pick your poison because now you've got a guy in LaMelo Ball who can not only make life easier for other people and facilitate, but LaMelo's the one thing I've always tipped my cap to LaMelo. LaMelo's always been the one dude that feels like he's got. I've said this before, like when he was in Charlotte, LaMelo's got the greenest light in the league.
Yes, absolutely.
In the sense that like he brings the ball up, he can do whatever the fuck. If he wants to just pull up from 30 feet just because he can, take some ridiculous shot, like you live with that in Charlotte. And I think what like Charlotte was able to do when he was there and healthy and from like January 1st until they get their asses smacked, like they were good because of LaMelo. Or partly because of him, because he was doing a lot of shit that
Absolutely.
like
He's a great player.
he's a great player, objectively speaking. So is it a gamble from Minnesota? Absolutely. But I see why they did it because I think the upside that you can get with the guy like that is off the charts. And then you mentioned Julius Randle and Naz Reid. Yes, their strength, even before they got Julius Randle, they had Cat, and it was Cat and Gobert. Their strength for the last couple of years has been their size. Now they're not as big, maybe. But
Yeah, clearly not.
what it does is it allows another guy to come in. So between Julius Randle and Naz Reid is about 26 shots a game, give or take. You don't need an analytical degree to tell you that 26 shots is a lot. So now, okay, LaMelo Ball comes in. Maybe LaMelo takes like 17 of those shots.
He might take more depending on the
Or
game.
20, yeah, depending on the game. But that still leaves about maybe 9 shots a game. So now a guy like Jaden McDaniels, some of their bench players that maybe haven't gotten as much playing time, you can spread those shots out a little bit more. Maybe LaMelo doesn't take as many shots as he did in Charlotte too. Maybe LaMelo takes less. Who knows? But what it does is it spreads those 26 shots around and it spreads that out differently. So from a Minnesota perspective, I get it. And then if you're Charlotte, I think you said it. Like, do you want to keep LaMelo Ball? Yeah. But if they're going to offer you that,
that's what I heard of that. Teams called them saying,
yeah.
let me start offering for LaMelo. And of course, you got to listen at a certain point.
And then at a certain point, you're like, hey, you know what? I'll
do it.
Take it. Yeah. You take it because they gave you a lot. And not only just in terms of assets, but you get Naz Reid. And then if you're Charlotte is able to flip Miles Bridges. So now Charlotte, instead of Miles Bridges, now it's Naz Reid.
Yep.
So you get bigger.
And they got assets.
And they got assets. Bridges. And they got, exactly. And you got Grayson Allen in that trade, a couple other guys, like a couple other assets. Like now, all of a sudden, if you're Charlotte, maybe you lose LaMelo, who is a big piece of your equation. But you take that trade because of what they're offering you. Not because you want to give up LaMelo Ball. It's not like what Boston did, where Boston was like, we want to get rid of Jaylen Brown. I think it's the opposite in this case, where Charlotte was like, maybe we don't want to give up LaMelo Ball, but his value will never be higher potentially than what it is right now. Let's flip him, and if he does well in Minnesota, great. We wish him the best. We're focused on Charlotte. And I think it was a good trade for both teams, in my opinion.
It made sense. I just found out I just didn't really think about it. When I heard that they were in like the running for him, like they were making offers, I didn't really think it would end up like this. So it intrigues me, is what I'll say. But I'm glad both teams made it. It's going to make the league more exciting next year. Who doesn't want to see LaMelo Ball play with Ant-Man, right? That's a crazy backcourt. Might be the best, at minimum, offensive backcourt in the league, if not the best backcourt in the league, right?
No.
I mean, they got their two guys, their two best players in the backcourt. So we'll see. In terms of I'll go to the second part of your question, your second question you
Okay.
posed earlier. What do I think will happen that hasn't happened yet? I need to think about that one because so many guys were traded. I feel like half the hypotheticals are done.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of guys that it would like teams would trade, they already got rid of them.
Yeah. No,
Unless we see something really left field. And we already guessed like LeBron, that's the next big free agent to sign. But there's already been a lot of teams. We named like 7, 8 trades.
yeah, and there's a lot we haven't even mentioned that we're
Exactly.
probably
So we're like the whole league has been consistently transacting, and you also got to realize a lot of teams are done because of like the restrictions. Like the Lakers, they don't have much cap space. The Knicks only
the
signed
Lakers probably have about a move left.
yeah, like
They could still make one big swing, or they could still make another big move. Um, yeah, the Knicks. We'll see what happens there.
I think we're just going to get like 2 more guys
I think there's
at
going to
the
be a lot. I
very
mean,
minimum,
we have
and that's going
obviously.
to be it.
I think there's
Which
going
I'm
to
not mad about. I want to run it back.
I think
I think this is what
I-
will be interesting to monitor if Cat extends and if he takes a discount to keep them under the second apron.
okay. Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting offseason, man. I still think it's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit further in depth. I mean, we mentioned DeMar earlier. I think DeMar is going to be an interesting piece for.
Got traded.
I think he'll get cut. He'll get stretched and waived. And then, to be honest with you, I think he's the perfect fit for a lot of teams that need a guy who can get you a bucket, can take the load off offensively. Like, I mean, I know obviously a lot of people who say like go back to Toronto, go home. Like, to be honest, I think a team like Detroit makes a ton of sense. Tobias Harris,
Yes.
Tobias,
Oh, that's a good one.
like Tobias goes to San Antonio. That's what I think. Like objectively speaking, without the Toronto element, like I think Detroit objectively is about as good of a fit. Like they've got the defense to be able to make up for whatever he doesn't give you defensively. And then I heard all like we talked about it, other people talked about it either on here or other platforms. Like in the playoffs, what was the big thing with Detroit was they need another guy who can put the ball in a basket when the game slows down. Like that's a guy who can put the ball in the basket. There's some other fits, obviously. I think so. Yeah, it's a Demar. Like Sacramento's an interesting team too. Like they got a couple guys maybe they'll move off of. Um, I think there's still some pieces to the offseason that haven't been fully hashed out yet. I think there's still, even like we mentioned, Giannis in Miami. Miami's going to add a couple of guys.
Yeah, they have to.
They have to, and they added Tim Hardaway Jr. Funny enough, his dad said, "No, I'm not going to unretire my jersey for you." That was funny.
I agree with that though.
Yeah, make your own legacy.
Yeah, why? Like take my jersey. You ain't good as me.
Yeah. Or make your own legacy in your own jersey. Yeah,
No, just to Tim Hardaway Jr. I really liked him on the Knicks.
he's a good player.
I always rooted for him.
He's a good player.
By the way, I thought he was like our savior for.
By the way, he could shoot the crap out of the basketball. So it's like
the crap out of the basketball is right.
so there's a lot left in the offseason. We'll talk about it. Summer league's coming up tomorrow, if you believe it.
I didn't even realize it's tomorrow.
Well, California Classic. Vegas is next week, but California Classic tomorrow. Utah Summer League starts on the 4th of July. And then Vegas Summer League starts on Thursday in Las Vegas. Sin City, baby.
There we go.
Dude, it's a fun off season. There's gonna be a lot of pieces. There's a lot of shit that happened that we probably didn't even talk about. And we'll think about it afterwards. It's like, man, we forgot to bring that up. Just like LaMelo Ball last week.
Exactly.
We would have been prophetic.
It would have been. But we know. We both know.
We know. Yeah, we can vouch for each other.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether other people believe us or not. Like, it doesn't matter. We know. So, I want to thank you, my man.
Well, thank you, man.
This was fun.
Pleasure.
Always a pleasure. We're definitely Many more to come. We'll try to come in maybe sometime during maybe the second week of summer league and chop it up a little
We
bit.
recap summer league a little bit.
A little bit, and some of the other transactions, maybe either that we didn't talk about today and that have happened from today onwards. Um, but this was fun, man. We
Absolutely.
riffed about the NBA.
That's what we're good at.
So we're good at, man. Well, many things. So wait till football comes back.
This football season is going to be
It's gonna be fun.
interesting.
Oh yeah, can't wait. We're getting close, by the way. About a month away.
I know. I saw. It's like, wait a minute. Schedule's out. Wait, preseason soon.
In a month, football's coming up. People got to look forward to you and I talking about football too, man.
It's going to be great.
It's gonna be a great time. All right, man. It's been a pleasure. Till next time.
Till next time, man.